In our final video, we're going to take everything we've learned and put it into one method for the order of operations. So here is a mnemonic we use for it. It's called PEMDAS, and you might have heard of this before. And we can actually use this idea for any problem we've done thus far. So this could be your one-stop shop for the order of operations. We looked at the smaller ideas in detail so that we could really inspect them and get to understand them. But when it comes down to it, if you follow this order, you may skip some of the things. Maybe there aren't parentheses or multiplication, but you can follow this order in general. Also notice Rule 5. We just learned about exponents, and exponents are performed before addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So here's our order. Parentheses first, or brackets, however we do the grouping symbols. Okay. Remember, we have outer brackets and inner parentheses. You keep looking further in and perform the order of operations the same way in there. Then you're going to do any exponents. Now notice, don't forget this, because we talked about this for a while. In this mnemonic, we have the M and then the D. So this may make some people think, well, multiplication always comes before division. But remember, we saw that's not the case. So notice this is in one block because they're actually tied. So as they appear from left to right. So you'll do parentheses, then exponents, then any multiplication and division as it appears from left to right. If multiplication is further to the left, do that first. If division is further to the left, do that first. And then any addition or subtraction with the same idea as multiplication. Perform addition and subtraction on what is left as they appear from left to right. If addition comes first, left to right, you do that. If subtraction comes first, left to right, you do subtraction. Okay, so let's look at some of these problems. Use a highlighter, highlight the operations in the problem. Determine the number of operations to be performed in the problem. Then compute the results by using the correct order of operations. Check your results on your calculator. So let's highlight the operations here. So here I see subtraction. There's parentheses, but remember, parentheses is not an operation. It's a way of telling us what operation to do first. Exponents are an operation, so I'm going to, and this is how we're going to indicate it. We're going to highlight the exponent. And then we have subtraction. So here, the number of operations is 3. So now let's look at the order of operations up here. First, we're going to do what's ever in parentheses. And in this case, we do have parentheses. The operation in the parentheses is subtraction. That's the only operation in there, so this comes first. So let me highlight this. How about with blue? We're going to do 8 minus 3 first. So 8 minus 3 is 5. I'm actually going to keep that in the parentheses even though it's a single number. And the reason I kept this in the parentheses, in this case it actually wouldn't matter, but you need to be careful with exponents. So if this expression had been, say, -5 and we needed to square it, it would be different if the negative is in parentheses or out of parentheses. So before you drop any parentheses, really take care to make sure that there's not a sign there that you need to include in another operation. Next, do we have any exponents? Yes, we do. So we're going to do this exponent next, which is actually acting on the number 5. So we have 5 squared, which means 5 times 5, which is 25. And now our last operation is subtraction, and 25 minus 4 is 21. And notice I did 1, 2, 3 operations, so it looks like I got them all. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Here I see 2 times, so there's multiplication, there's an exponent, there's addition. Okay. So we have the number of operations again is 3. And now I'm just going to write down the order. We have exponent, multiplication, and then addition. And that's going to be our order. Exponent comes first, then the multiplication, then addition. So let's get our highlighter. The exponent here is the 4 squared. Well, 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. Notice I copied the 2 times, replace 4 squared with 16, copied the plus 3. Next we'll do multiplication. So we want to do 2 times 16. 2 times 16 is 32. And lastly, we're going to do the addition. 32 plus 3 gives us 35. And 1, 2, 3, I got all of my operations. Now let's just look at this last one. So this is the quantity negative 3 squared, notice the negative is in parentheses, minus 4 times, since the parentheses are written next to this number, it's implied multiplication, times negative 3 plus 2. So let's highlight our operations. So we have an exponent. Notice the parentheses here, there's no operation in the parentheses. The parentheses are just indicating that we're squaring the entire quantity negative 3. We're not just taking the opposite. Now we have subtraction. There's another operation. Right here is implied multiplication. I'm going to highlight it up here so we can see it. And then we have addition. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 operations in this problem. Okay, so first we're going to do an exponent, then we're going to do multiplication, and then we have subtraction and addition from left to right, and notice in this case we'll have subtraction first, then addition, because subtraction is further to the left than addition. So let's go ahead and get started. First we have negative 3 squared. I'm doing this first. And I'm just going to write this over here on the side to remind you. Negative 3 squared means 2 factors of negative 3. A negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So now let's write this down. 9 minus 4 times negative 3 plus 2. Our next operation is multiplication. So we have subtraction, multiplication, addition, and multiplication comes next. So we're going to do 4 times negative 3. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And since I have a subtraction symbol here, I'm going to definitely put the negative 12 in parentheses. It's always a good practice to put the negatives in parentheses. It just helps you see them more clearly. But if I didn't, this would look like a mess having the 2 signs next to each other. And plus 2. So next, now we have subtraction and addition left. Subtraction is further to the left. So we're going to do this subtraction first. And I'm going to do this on the side again. So we have 9 minus negative 12. Subtracting is like adding the opposite, or is equivalent to, so instead of subtraction I'm going to write addition of the opposite of negative 12, which is positive 12. So 9 minus negative 12 is the same as 9 plus 12, which is 21. So now we have 21 plus 2. And now our last operation is this addition. 21 plus 2 is 23. And notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4 operations. It looked like we got them all. And in the next video, we will learn how to check these on the calculator.